All right. Good morning, everyone. I will first apologize for any of my San Antonio division that heard a variation of this already. This is actually a training that I delivered to our Platinum Top 50 here in the city of San Antonio. But I promise there's new information in there. So don't worry. Don't hesitate if some of it's a little bit familiar. But today we're going to talk about geofarming. Everybody hear me okay? All right. I'm going to switch over to present my screen. All right, I will keep an eye on the chat window as well. So if you guys have questions as we go along, certainly feel free to throw it up in the chat. Ooh, and I have to pause. Beth, is it your birthday? Happy birthday, Beth.
Thank you.
I won't sing, but we might have to do that at the end of the training. My San Antonio division knows that I will make everybody unmute and sing with me. So hang tight, Beth. We'll do that at the end, and I'll get that on recording. All right, so today we're going to discuss geofarming, and I will tell you that adjusting my business about 4 years in to starting my real estate career to focus more on geofarming changed my life. So I am to give you a very clear example. The first year that I ever sold $10 million in real estate, at the end of the year, I looked back and said, there's no way I can do that again. I was all over town. I was a crazy person and I was struggling to keep up. I tease and say that I should have set this up in my car because at that point in my career, I would have been getting more sleep if I was sleeping in the back of my vehicle. You guys have lived it. As a newer agent, I was traveling all over town wherever I could chase a lead, and I was happy to take business wherever I could and was spending an absurd amount of hours on the road. So at the end of that year, I went, okay, I have to do something better. I have to strategize a little bit better going into my next year. And I thought, how great would it be if I could leave my listing or leave for a listing presentation 5 minutes before the appointment rather than an hour before the appointment if I had to get from one neck of the road to the other side of San Antonio. And for my Austinites, you guys have traffic that's even crazier than our San Antonio traffic. So I reevaluated my business so that I could start building a business that was really focused on the area I knew, loved, and lived. My answer to that was geofarming. Geofarming is where you start to work an area through continuous marketing touches to build brand awareness so people can start seeing you as a likable and professional real estate option. As the notes say, it doesn't happen overnight. It's called geofarming because just like a traditional farmer, you don't just throw seeds out and harvest the next day. You have to work on this day by day. It takes a consistent effort, hard planning, and you have to stick with it. So if you're going to build a geofarm and you're going to start approaching your business plan with a geofarm in mind, you need to make sure that this is something that you're ready to commit to. First, if you are going to start planning a geofarm and working a particular area, you need to set a budget. Set a budget first by figuring out what you want to commit to your annual market budget. Now, keep in mind that's going to be your personal investments as well as the company investments that we make. You guys know every time you get a listing, every time you do an open house, every time you have a sale, you earn quantum credits. That's free marketing money. So you can start to plan what that marketing money is, divide that annual budget down to a month and know how much you want to spend per month. Now, I will tell you, geofarming is a way to expand your business, but it is not in lieu of continuing to follow up with your A's, those people who are past clients, family, friends, or business connections you've made over time that are going to be solid referral sources for you. So when you set your budget, make sure you've allotted some for those A referral sources, those A people in your network, and then the rest of that can be allocated to your geofarm. And setting the budget, take that total amount that you want to spend per month, and we have an example in here for you. Let's say it's $200, and then estimate what those marketing efforts are going to cost you. So we're going to look at an annual calendar so you can understand a little bit better how to break this down. But if it's 50 cents per postcard, or you're talking pop buys and it's going to be you're spending $2 per pop buy, you can break down that monthly budget by the cost for reaching out to those individuals, and now you know how many people you want to include in your geofarm. Now, the concept of geofarm, what you want to think about is something that happens in our business that had happened to me, that had me all over town, is rather than the mindset of every time I have a listing that sells, I send out that just sold postcard, and you're doing one-offs all over town. The concept of geofarm is that you want to continuously touch the same individuals over and over to build your brand. So when we're narrowing down our budget, we want to have a budget that's reasonable for you so that you are continuously touching those same people over and over again. When you're selecting your geofarm area, for most people, that's going to be your own subdivision. And that's the area you know better than ever, or better than anywhere, I should say. So for maximum opportunity, be passionate about it, be an area that you are visiting on a regular basis so it's easier for you to keep up with. Now, if that's not your immediate subdivision, pick one that's close to you, close to where your kids go to school, close to where your gym is, an area that you're visiting on a regular basis, so it is easier for you to have that working knowledge of traffics and roads and schools and local businesses, all those things that are important. I know as realtors we think about houses only, but people are asking us about the city and those other lifestyle things that surround the home that they're considering purchasing or selling. So you need to be that local expert. Again, most often it's easiest to be that expert in your own subdivision. But if you are in an apartment or you're thinking about moving and you're going to target a geofarm area outside of your own immediate subdivision, then do that. Think about where you're going to spend time on a day-to-day basis. When you're reviewing the MLS and evaluating that subdivision that you're considering for your geofarm, or not subdivision, might be a geographical area, I would recommend that you focus on areas that have at least a 6% turnover rate. We all know there's that occasional subdivision that nobody ever moves out of, right? That houses rarely go on the market. That's not your ideal target area because you're not going to have as great of a return on your investment. So I do encourage you to consider that subdivision that has at least a 6% turnover rate. An example, we got the math here for you. If it's a subdivision with 500 homes, we need at least 30 of those to sell every 12 months. So do that math for yourself to make sure that this is a subdivision where you're going to see a good return. Second part of that is do some research to see if there's a brokerage or a specific agent that is continuously selling real estate in there. Now, I will never ever tell you to completely shy away from a subdivision if there's a real estate agent that has a stronghold. And I've also heard people say, well, Erin, there are 10 realtors that live in my subdivision. I'm not going to work that. I will give you my personal example. I live in a subdivision that I know 17 real estate agents in my subdivision, and we only have 130 houses in the neighborhood. That does not mean I didn't pick my own subdivision. I still did, and now we hold 40% of the market in the subdivision. So you guys are better than the rest, know that. And if you're consistent with your geofarming, then you can start capturing that market share. So just look at those figures when you're looking in the MLS to evaluate, know what you're working with, and then move on from there. And I'll pause to see if we have any questions. Nope, rocking and rolling. All right, so do your homework, review the MLS, look at those details, and then before you start putting together marketing efforts to blast the neighborhood saying that you are the local expert, you need to be the local expert. I always love when agents call me and say, Erin, I did what you said, and somebody called me and needs to list their home, and they weren't prepared for that. And that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. So make sure that up front, as you're planning this geofarm area and you're researching the MLS anyway, you're doing your homework and making sure that you are that local area expert that you describe yourself to be. Few ideas that I would recommend: set yourself up. And I see Alberto on the call. He practices this better than anybody I know. Look, I got his attention. He sets himself up for a property search in his area, and every morning he reviews all of the homes that have hit the market, those price changes, those homes that are selling. So he has established himself as a local expert. If somebody in his sphere calls and says, hey, I see a new house on the market, he knows it because he studies it daily. So set yourself up for an MLS search so that what happens on the market in your area, you can speak intelligently about it. It never fails that I will stop at the mailbox on my way home and the neighbor's going to say, did you see that Jeannie thinks she can get so-and-so for her house? And being able to respond to that is very effective in being recognized as your community expert. Make sure you know the following. So as you're studying, know average price per square foot, average days on market, those statistics that somebody will ask in a market analysis. Know about your local tax rates. What makes this area better? I live in the little example of this. I live in a little area sandwiched between San Antonio and Boerne, so I'm outside of city limits. So I can describe to people the benefits of our lower taxes and what that means to be outside of city limits. So those things that are specific to your area, brainstorm that, because educating people on those details will be very valuable. How do your HOA fees vary from others in the area? What local businesses are moving in and out? Future construction, traffic changes and product projects. We're not just housing experts, we are lifestyle experts as real estate agents for our clients. So make sure that you are really proficient in what's happening in your geofarm area. Property search areas, that putting yourself in a portal. Yeah, so I actually, what I'll reference there is go in and set yourself up as a client in the MLS and then conduct a save a search. And I have this that comes to me every morning. I'm an early bird, so every morning at 7 a.m. I have MLS automatically running a search and dropping new information into my email, just as if I were setting up a search for my clients. You know, if you have any further questions there, Rich, spot on. All right, so to deep dive more into the concept of a geofarm, statistics say it takes 8 mailings for a resident to recognize your name. And that doesn't mean they remember who I am. That means that the next time they see my smiling face on a quantum postcard, they say, oh, I remember that lady from the last time. So that's just to build recognition. Now, Marketing 101, you guys have heard me say this. I remember it like it was yesterday in my Marketing 101 class in college. The first time a professor said, you need to have 3 quality touches, 3 times that you've touched somebody for them to start seeing you as a brand or recognizing you consistently. So we're going to talk about our geofarm, and we're going to mix postcards and automation with some quality touches. That is why, just to reiterate, rather than every time I sell a home somewhere in San Antonio or you guys in Austin, rather than just sending that just sold postcard and hoping that that person that receives that card responds to my smiling face after seeing it just one time, we're going to start building brand awareness as that local expert. First step is planning. And I have Beth on the line. I'll make sure I post it by the end of our training session. We actually have a next level training coming up in the next couple of weeks where we're going to map this out. For anybody who wants to come, it's going to be an overview of ideas and then a group planning session. We're going to map out our 2021 and those efforts. It can be overwhelming if I look at you and say, you need to put together your geofarm strategy for the entire next year. But if we look at this and say, I just want to touch my sphere once a month, and I only have one thing I have to achieve every month for my geofarm, it becomes a lot more tangible and something that's a lot less overwhelming. So we'll map that out together. So keep that in mind and keep an eye out for that follow-up next level training. Just brainstorming, and again, we're going to do this together in our follow-up session. Decide what marketing events you're going to do. I'm going to give you some examples. We're going to mix in some automation for those busier months for you that are easier to keep up with. And then we're going to mix in some personal events, and I'll give some examples there. We're going to have postcards. We're going to talk about drop-bys or pop-bys. We're going to have community events, participate in HOA events. We're going to run some social media ads, creating content, open houses, door knocking, walking the neighborhood, all of those things that are those touches over time that accumulate into brand awareness. And I'm going to give some examples here for you as well. When we're strategizing our geofarm plan, we want to make sure that we're thinking about all of our different types of neighbors. So we're going to mix in a little bit of technology. You know, you have it available to you at JBGoodwin. We are going to mix in personal touches. We want to think about the fact that we have so many different generations in our geofarm area that we want to mix in our different types of communication to appeal to people in all different walks of life, technology, comfort levels, and demographics. So we're going to vary that to make sure that it's not always the same message that's being delivered over and over again. Mass appeal. Thank you, Beth. That training is Wednesday, November 11th. You're the best. Thanks, Beth. All right. So if you're getting a little stressed out saying, Erin says I need to do something major every month in order to start seeing that generation or a return from my investment in my geofarm, keep in mind we have so many tools that already automate this for you. One example is going to be Quantum Digital. We have a variety of options available for you in our auto mail campaign. And these are postcards that you can set up at the first of the year or set up tomorrow, and you can decide exactly what months those are going to go out to your sphere. So when we're mapping out our annual calendar, it might be that January, we're going to focus on delivering a message about homestead exemptions. But February, you're taking a great vacation, you want to automate that month, you're going to turn on Quantum to make sure that at the beginning of the year, you've planned that February is that month that your geofarm area is getting our auto mail campaign postcard. And you can map this out once at the start of the year, and then it's set up and automated for you. You can also look at tools, reach out to your favorite title company. My Austin folks, Austin Title. For my San Antonio folks, we work with Courtney Helly at Old Republic Title. Your title companies have opportunities for helping pull geofarm content. So for instance, with Old Republic, we can actually pull our neighbors' contact information and we can upload it right into our JBGoodwin and therefore Moxie accounts. So some of our agents have started expanding their touches by either pulling HOA directories, which a number of you have access to, by pulling tax records. I know I helped a couple of our agents out in Williamson County pull tax records to get all the names, addresses, and you guys were researching email addresses to make a more robust database of those neighbors in your geofarm area. So you have a lot of opportunities there, and if you guys need any advice on this, certainly feel free to reach out. But I would encourage you to start building out contact information for those neighbors. That geofarm area, if you have contact information saved in your Moxie, of course, we can layer on additional information in our geofarm or additional points of contact in our geofarm communications by making sure that they're in Moxie, they're receiving our monthly newsletter, they're getting your neighborhood news. So in addition to those manual efforts you're making in planning, they're going to get those quality touches through our systems as well. Terry, 3,000 people in your database. You've been rocking and rolling. Well done. All right. Quality touches. You don't want to be this guy. My brother actually did this to me at a young age. At some point, my parents actually had to tape, masking tape down the center of our back car seat so that we would not kill each other in the back. You don't want to be this guy, so we don't want to over-automate. We don't want to be spamming our sphere, our geofarm area. So mixed in with the automation that we're going to do, and our touches are also quality through Moxie that have good content for them, but we don't want to over-automate, so we need to think about those quality touches. These are photos from one of our agents posting on social media. An example, to give you a few examples, 4th of July, a lot of our team members order flags. They're 50 cents a piece, depending on where you order from. Order flags and then put on the whole neighborhood on the 4th of July. So when people come home from work or from their day off or they're heading for that barbecue, your name and beautiful flags are all down the streets, and it can have a huge impact for building brand awareness. National Pet Day every year, I've always left a box of tennis balls with a Lowe's $2 bucket at my mailboxes, my community mailboxes in the subdivision, with a note from me on the side saying Happy National Pet Day to everybody. Halloween has always been one of my favorites until I moved to a more rural area. But if your geofarm area is in an area where you get good trick-or-treaters, I every year would set up a photo or a Halloween backdrop I ordered from Oriental Trading Post for probably $10, and I would put it on my garage door and set up my camera on a tripod and Parents quite often can only get one of them in the picture with the kids, right? Because somebody's got to hold the camera. So I would take family photos. When everybody came, the kids would come in, they'd get their candy first. Don't make them wait for the candy to take the photo. But parents would come in, kids would come in, I'd take the photo, and then I'd get their email address and send it to them as a follow-up. So they just write their name and email address down. By the end of the day, I had 300 people, their name and email addresses, and I could send those photos as a follow-up to them. Little tip when you're doing that, make sure you take a photo of the family and then take a photo of the email address so you don't send the wrong photo to the wrong family. That won't go well. So I was always taking a photo of the family, photo of the email address, and then going from there. So these are the types of things that we're going to brainstorm in that follow-up session that Beth posted for us on November 11th. These are things that, you know, the Halloween photo booth cost me $10 for the cheap backdrop, and if you're more creative than I am, you can come up with it on your own. So these are all really affordable things that you can mix in that will have a big impact on your sphere, in addition to those other touches that you've created. Go big or go home when it comes to doing your business. So I would say I hope you're going big with all of your open houses, but especially when you're in your GeoFarm area, make sure your open house is branded to you. Do those open houses so you have those personalized signs. Do door hangers, make a big deal out of it, and make sure that, of course, you're always building that good old JBGoodwin brand awareness, but make sure you've got your name out there. Post a little $5 ad of the event on the open or on social media so that you're creating some awareness of your name. I would tell you, when you're planning open houses, quite often I know we're just communicating with other agents and saying, hey, anybody have a good listing for an open house right now? I would tell you to be more proactive and look instead at our company inventory, filter by zip code, and then reach out to those agents who have have listings in your area so that you're focusing on those open houses and continuing to build your brand awareness. I would even, when I would get a listing in my GeoFarm area, on the weekends when I was allowed, I'd go out and just put directional for sale signs that I ordered with my name on it as well. And then it got to the point that my neighbors would start saying, hey, I saw your house, or I saw your name down the street that you have a house in so-and-so, Two Creek subdivision. How's that going? And those types of things. So those little extra touches, you're doing the business anyway. Just make sure that when you're conducting the business, doing that open house, that you're focusing also on your general brand awareness, not just driving traffic for that one specific event. Brainstorm. It can be a little overwhelming if you are thinking now on the 28th about trying to put a photo booth together, which is why we're talking about planning this for the entire year. We're going to brainstorm as a team on the 11th, as I mentioned, and start bringing together collaborative ideas. But if you map it out a year in advance, you can work around your holidays, you can work around your vacations, you can work around your busiest time of year and have those pre-mapped out with automation, and then come up with those quality touches when it's most effective for you. Then be this guy. Sit back and relax. Geofarming is a simple concept. It is what you guys are already doing to build your business. It's just coming up with a strategy to do it in your immediate area consistently. So with the GeoFarm, I gave the example, 2014, I couldn't do it again. How do people do this? How can you do this much real estate? I had these big goals and knew I wanted to set my goal bigger the next year. 2015, I sold $17 million in real estate, and it seemed like a cakewalk compared to the year before. So I will tell you, personal testimony, planning your year out in advance so you don't feel like you're always having to work on your next marketing strategy. Map it out once at the beginning of the year, have a solid plan. Not only does it become less overwhelming, not only is it harder to drop the ball when you get busy and stop working on your marketing efforts, but it also means when you're leaving for a listing presentation, you're leaving 5 or 10 minutes early versus that hour, hour and a half, depending on traffic. It means that when you're running a CMA for that next listing presentation, it takes you a lot less time because you know the area really well. You study the market every day. It means that when your clients say something about tax records, or you're doing a showing because you've got a sign call, it's so much easier to capture that business because you are the expert, you live down the street. So those organic things that you're also doing, walking the dog, dropping your kids off at school, all of those efforts become natural marketing tools. That's brand awareness that you're building when you go out. So those life events that are happening anyway are going to be generating a lot more income than trying to chase business all over town and struggling for that next lead. That's actually my full presentation. It's a quick one today. How are we feeling, guys? Questions? Nothing at all. I'm looking at faces. You guys, my team knows that I start looking for faces and start targeting. If you don't have Ken, you're on my list first. The teasing.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if I have a social media calendar already done, can I send it to you and like get a, hey, you're going in the right direction, or hey, you're not?
Absolutely, Lori, I love it.
Okay. I will do that.
That's another layer, obviously, that's one thing I love is that the strategies that you guys have for website and your social media, all of those things are another layer. So especially as you start building your geo farm and you connect with people on social media and those things, those are all additional touches. So even though I'm mapping out one big goal for every month, those things that you guys are organically doing to build your business will mean that you really have 10 touches per month as you're building this. Good question. Happy to, Lori.
And Erin, the newsletters go out tomorrow?
Newsletters go out tomorrow. So if you haven't done so yet, if you want to personalize anything, add your listings, make sure you do that. They'll start trickling out tomorrow morning. Martha, you've been working on your database. Do you have your first newsletter going out to your GeoFarm area?
I have the newsletter completed. I'm going to insert it today, and hopefully it'll be done by the end of the day.
Good job. I'll be following up with you in about 4 hours to check on you, right?
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Hey, Erin.
So, yes.
Hi. I was just going to piggyback on something that is just a point that I drive home all the time, and you hit on it, but it was those personalized signs. Y'all, I mean, get more than 5. You need 10. You need 15. You need to own the neighborhood. You need to own it and do open houses in that same neighborhood every single week. And even if you're holding open houses for other brokers, I just can't tell you how impactful 10 signs with your name on it is, because people driving through the neighborhood are just going, oh God, there's those Erin Sestero signs again. There's those Erin Sestero signs. Now they're leading to a listing that might not even be for our company, but nobody pays attention to the sign in the yard. They're seeing the signs plastered all over the neighborhood. So when you find an open house, don't go jumping around town. Hold it in that same neighborhood over and over and over. If you can find 2, do one from 11 to 1 or 11 to 2, and then one again from 3 to 4. If you're going to blow an afternoon, do 2 open houses and say, this one might not be for you, but I'm going to be in the neighborhood over here at 3 o'clock. That's just a great idea. And if you kind of layer all that marketing with, car signs, magnetic car signs, and you're parking those in your neighborhood, and you're driving through the neighborhood, and you're sitting at the mailboxes, guys, it just works. You soon become the visual, and people love going to a house where they already know who they're going to talk to. So at so many open houses, you'll be in them and they'll go, you must be Tammy. And it was like, yes, because you've seen my sign. And I can't tell you how many times during open houses or that people would come looking for me and say, I knew you were in this neighborhood every week. This isn't the house, but I want to talk to you about listing my house, or I have some friends and I was wondering if you could help them. And they'll just come looking for you. They just know you're there, and it's very, very impactful.
100%. Thanks, Tammy. Good reiteration. You'll get the neighbors. I can't tell you how often I'm at the post office, and my neighbors will pull, or at post office, the mailboxes, and they'll pull my postcard out. Like, seriously, Erin, again, and we tease about it. But yes, Also, from a sales standpoint, think about this. That first time, let's say January, you make homestead exemption reminders a point of your marketing plan. The first time they get it and you're volunteering their time, or your time to help them with something, they might look at it and say, oh, well, if I call that Erin lady, she might want me to buy or sell a house. I don't need that right now. I'm not going to ask for help or waste her time. But the more you're offering and showing that you want to be a resource, the more you offer your advice and say, hey, I'm happy to answer questions about this, the more they believe you and they will reach out. So I can't tell you how often it becomes just, the neighbors need a painter. I've never even met my neighbor. I get texts from neighbors I've never met and say, hey, Erin, I thought you might know a painter. And in my head, I don't want to say, who are you? And I'm scrambling to figure out who this person was. You become that local expert. So even though it might feel when you're starting to layer these things on, like you're going in heavy, I described Tammy's describing her signs that I'm the same way. I'm a sign land fool. So even though it feels like a lot to you, and sometimes it's weird to be braggy and say, I'm your realtor, I'm your realtor, I'm your realtor, it is effective and people want it because it makes them much more comfortable reaching out to you as a resource.
And if you use 15 signs or 10 signs, I always knock on the house and say, do you mind if I put my sign right here? And people will go, nobody has ever even asked me that before. And I'm like, well, I want to ask you. And really, I just want to get to know you.
Exactly. Good job, Tammy. Anybody have any other experiences they want to share when it comes to working your geofarm area? Working your subdivision? Jerry, aren't you my dog walker? Are we talking about you out walking the dog? Yeah, you're out every day and you get to know your neighbors that way.
Right. That's
I know pre-real estate, you didn't think of that as marketing, but man, that's some of the best marketing you can do is getting out and just having, they're gonna look at you and say, hey, that's that guy we just got the postcard from. Do you think he knows what the house down the street is selling for?
You're right. So
Hey, Erin,
I took that picture with the dog. So
Erin, I also have two little dogs. I had a white Shih Tzu that my wife dyed her tail purple. But I walk them twice a day all through my neighborhood, and I tell you what, I get more comments on it, and everybody I talk to, I make sure they know, oh, there's Rich the realtor. And I've gotten 4 different listings off that just in the neighborhood because it's like, and they'll stop me and say, hey, even when they see somebody else's, I see that one's for sale. Yeah, it is. They're asking so much because I keep aware of what's for sale in that subdivision, and when something closes, they'll say, hey, what'd that sell for? Mm-hmm. And so walking the dog and just letting everybody in the neighborhood, I don't make any conversation with anybody without sliding in something that, hey, I sell real estate. So anyway, but that's awesome. It works. I don't have that Shih Tzu anymore, but I still replaced it with another Chihuahua, and I still walk them. I still talk to everybody.
Have you guys Rich and Jerry, have you guys seen the website? It's allthingsrealestate.com. They have the cutest dog bandanas that say want to buy a house or want to sell a house. They're very cute. In case you ever decided to work that in. Joan?
Yeah, also when COVID got big, I got a lot of hand sanitizer and I stuck my my image on there with some information and that I'm a realtor. And it got out so far in my community that my granddaughter was going to get her hair cut. She's 3 years old. And she went to the barber and she said, oh, there's Mama! Because the hand sanitizer in this woman, who I hadn't given her hand sanitizer directly, had my picture on it right there.
That is awesome. Good for you.
Hey, Erin,
you guys, I hope you will all be back for our brainstorming session on the 11th, because we're going to talk about all of these ideas. We'll share the company database for pop-by tags that we have available for you guys and all of us. So we'll brain swap so we're not reinventing the wheel. Jerry.
Erin, I left a voicemail earlier, right before class, but I guess I can ask you here. Is it proper to do a drop-by or pop-by at a polling place that's by your house?
Oh, a polling place?
Yeah.
I don't know. There are solicitation rules at polling places, but I don't know what they are. I'd have to actually, I don't know if that's Googleable. I'd rely on that from it. I mean, would it be nice for the folks who are working hard at the polls for you to drop off and bring them a coffee or something like that? Absolutely. But I know you have to be careful around polling centers for solicitation. So I do some research on that one first, Jerry.
Okay,
I love that.
thank you.
Aaron, when I went to go vote the other day, they said you can't wear anything or have anything within 100 feet of the polling place. But if you're outside that radius, there didn't seem to be any restrictions.
Got it. So Jerry, bring your laser tape measure. Knock out 100 feet from the polling center and give out coffee. And those are the types of things we'll talk about. I will tell you one of the best returns I've ever had from an open house was a home in my geofarm area that I was holding for the open house, and I did it on a Saturday from 8:30 to 11 on the day they were doing the neighborhood-wide garage sale. And I went to Starbucks, got 2 little kits, and put a sign that literally said "Free coffee from Aaron Sestero, JBGoodwin." And then if you want to, on top of that, I used to give out reusable grocery bags that I would get for 80 cents a piece that had my branding on it. And I gave those out for their shopping efforts. So we'll talk about all of those ideas and little things that you can do that are super affordable and have a big return, and just building that brand awareness. Tammy was out.
Can I mention one more while I'm here in case I can't make Friday?
Of
If
course.
any of you have ever heard of Fiverr, look at that.
Oh, look how cute that is. That's adorable.
The big reach. But you can go to Fiverr and get a graphic of yourself, $10, $20, $30, and then use it on different items.
Awesome. Well done. Ken, can you do a brokerage open house or open houses for other brokerages? Yes, you can. Sorry, I just caught that question. All right, guys. I know today was
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Oh, yes, Frank.
Hi. Can you repeat that one more time, what you said about the open house?
Oh, can we conduct open houses for other brokerages? We can. So if there's another brokerage in your area that's has a listing, you can certainly reach out to that other agent and hold that property open.
Even if it's not a JBGoodwin?
Even if it's not a JBGoodwin. I trust you, Frank, to understand brokerage relationship with a client, be able to coach somebody who comes in through the information about brokerage services and help them understand that relationship. So absolutely. And if you don't feel comfortable, call me. All right, thank you guys. I know that was a quick overview. We wanted to plant the seed about geofarming. So keep in mind, we're going to have a follow-up. I've got example blank calendars that we're going to send. It is November. I'm going to go back again. November the 11th, our next level training, which is going to be a Wednesday, that we'll have a follow-up where we're going to have a brainstorming session. And I actually have a whole annual calendar where in previous sessions we've brainstormed and put about 15 ideas together for every single month. And as a team, we will add to that so that you guys can pick and choose those ideas that speak to you and your comfort level and your geofarm area that you feel would work. And then you guys can map out by mid-November, you'll have your whole geofarm marketing strategy marked out for 2021. And then we can figure out how we can help you guys execute. Sound like a plan? All right, so I'm now going to ask everybody to unmute and join me in happy birthday. Beth, I see you on the call. My San Antonio division is used to this. Austin, please warm the vocals. I'm waiting until I see you all unmute. La, 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 la. Here we go. Happy birthday
Thank you. Made my day. Thank you, guys.
All right, Beth, thanks for raising
You should have had stopped recording before that, Aaron.
No, I'm going back for that dance of yours. Come on, that's going to make it in the video.